Hello! Now let's face it, there are not nearly enough tech-related videos on YouTube. So I'm going to do something about that with something that is on a scale of 0 to geek, very much geek. What we're going to be doing today is comparing not one, not two, but three, yes, three different iPhones. The iPhone 4, the iPhone 5S, and the iPhone 6S Plus. Now, why have I chosen these particular iPhones? Well, it was, as you can imagine, a scientific process involving finding all of the iPhones that are in the building. So, first of all, we need to unbox the iPhone 6S Plus because that is the newest of the three iPhones that I'm going to be looking at. Now, there's a lot of unboxing videos on YouTube, let's be honest, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time over this, but let's get cracking with that first. So here's a quick unboxing of the iPhone 6S Plus. I expect there's tons of unboxing videos about this device on the intertube, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. There isn't really very much to see with these anyway. The minimal packaging that they have these days for the iPhones, or any Apple product really for that matter. So here we have all written on the side, the iPhone 6S Plus, and a photo on the top which I think is probably something to do with live photos, maybe? Don't know. So let's dig into this. This is probably the most difficult bit. I'll try and do it without scratching the box too much. Ah, there we go. Right. Let's get rid of the outer packaging. There we are. I have scratched the box. Right, there's the box then. So let's take the lid off, and there it is. There is the iPhone 6S Plus. You're greeted with the device that you bought straight away. There it is, and look at the size of it. Yeah, this is the space grey iPhone 6S Plus. Yeah, very smart, very nice. We'll be comparing it with the iPhone 5S in a little while, so we can see the two devices side by side. Let's just put that on one side for a moment and see what else we've got in the packaging. So let's lift that out. That was the tray that had the phone in. And then we have documentation. There's the SIM ejector doobry. That's a technical term, just say if I'm baffling you with science. There's a very minimal documentation. Doesn't tell you a lot on there. And some more gubbins, and of course your Apple stickers that you always get. Let's put that on one side as well. Also in the box, I'm in the UK, so I've got a UK adapter. In a way, it's a shame it's not one of those new folding ones that I saw, I think on Mac Rumours, where they had the pins actually fold in, which I thought was quite a clever design. And I can't remember what product that was shipping with, but unless it was a prototype and it's not actually shipping with anything yet, I don't know. But there's the UK adapter. Your mileage may vary. There's the earbuds, or earpods, or whatever they're calling them at the moment. Always handy to have an extra pair of these. I've got so many of these different headphones with different products that I don't know whether I'll use those or not, but handy to have. And there is of course the lightning lead, which is also useful to have, even though I've already got one. So, and that's it. That's all you get. So the next thing to do is to that very nice moment when you take that plastic covering up. Oh yes, that's very satisfying. Oh yes indeed. And off the other side, oh very satisfying. Yeah, I don't know why, it's just a very satisfying thing to do. Take that off, and there it is. And it does feel, yes, noticeably heavier than the iPhone 5S, as you'd expect. And the dimensions of this device are slightly bigger than the iPhone 6 Plus, apparently, but not so as you'd notice. Now I have got, for this device, a case, which is in the drawer. So there it is. Now this is actually the Apple silicon case, specifically for the 6S Plus. And I thought about this, thought I'm not sure about getting this or the leather case, but I could get this one in the end. and it's quite nice. I haven't really had an Apple case before. There's an instruction leaflet in case you can't work out how to put the phone in. So let's actually put the phone in, even though I might actually be taking it out before I set the phone up. But let's put it in anyway. Here we go. Oh, hello. Did I do that? This device has switched on. We have liftoff. So it is starting up, and of course in a moment it will be asking me, it'll say it's got no SIM, and there we are, hello. Well, I don't really want to set it up at the moment because I need to back up my 5S because I'll be migrating from that and just sort of generally mess about with it. But there is the unboxing of the Apple iPhone 6S Plus. Okay, so the iPhone 6S is now well and truly unboxed, and wasn't that entertaining? Okay, so let's move on to the main part of this video, which is to compare the three iPhones that I mentioned before, the iPhone 4, the iPhone 5S and the iPhone 6S Plus. Of course, they're very similar in design, but I think when you put the three next to each other, which is what we'll do next, you can see some real differences in what Apple have done with the design and the specifications over the last 5 years. So our first device to look at is the iPhone 4. Now, I had an iPhone 3G, which I got in 2008, and I really like the design of the 3G, and the 4 for me was a bit boxy. If you remember, the 3G had this sort of slightly curved back to it, and I really like that. But this one is quite boxy by comparison, and I wasn't really that sure about it. Let me see now, when did I get this? Yeah, I got this, well it came out, it's easy to forget actually, the fact that the iPhone, hang on, let's just type the passcode in, that the iPhone 4 actually shipped first of all in June of 2010, and with the launches being in September in more recent years, it's really easy to forget that that was actually a summer device that came out, and it was quite a big gap between the 3GS and the 4. Now, spec-wise, this device had an Apple A4 processor and half a gig of RAM, DDR2 I think it was. Now, this particular model is a 16GB model, I think. Is it? I don't know actually. I'm going to have a look because I'm not sure whether it is. If I can remember, let's have a look. This is professional, isn't it? Yes, this is a 16GB model. This is a good shot of the desk. Hope you're enjoying that. So there we are. So 16GB model, but they did other sizes. I can't really remember what. Now it shipped at the time. I think would it have been iOS 5? I can't remember. But this device, the iPhone 4, will only run up to iOS 7. And it's 7.1.2, I think, is the latest one. But whatever iOS 7, the latest release is. It has, of course, got the 3.5-inch screen. We're going to compare it with two other iPhones in a moment and just see what a difference that makes. It's 326 pixels per inch, and this, of course, was the first iPhone to have what Apple had termed the Retina display. The previous model, the 3GS and the 3G and the main iPhone before that, was something like 163 ppi, which at the time was no slouch, really. Now this screen is 960 pixels by 640, and it had, it's got still a 5 megapixel camera and can shoot HD video, but not full HD, it's 720p. And the dimensions are, it's 115.2mm by 58.6mm by 9.3mm. So it'll be really interesting actually in a moment to compare the thickness of this device with the other iPhones that we've got to compare it with. This is the, I don't know if they called it the space grey model, did they? I don't know, they probably did. It's got a sort of a black back to it. Now I used this iPhone as my primary device, mobile device, for 3 years, so it can't have been all bad, even if I didn't like the display or like the case as much as the 3G. I actually did use this for 3 years, and then for the last 2 years my wife's been using it as her main phone, so it's actually done remarkably well. It's only really recently that the phone the battery started to not behave quite as well, and you know, needs charging up most days. but it's actually been a really reliable device. So I don't know what we'll do with it now, because this device is going, and this is her last day of using it. So there we go. Now let's move on. So I got this in 2010, and in September 2013 I decided to replace it. That's when my wife took it over, and I got this, which is the iPhone 5S. So let's move the iPhone 4 out of the way. Let's have a look at this. It's the iPhone 5S. And let's unlock the screen. There we go. Should have taken the passcode off of these. So that's the device there. Now this has got, remember the iPhone 4, I can't remember if I said actually, it's clocked at 800 megahertz, an Apple A4 processor. The 5S has got an A7 processor, and it's a dual 1.3 gigahertz 64-bit processor. And this has got double the memory of the iPhone 4, 1 gigabyte DDR3. And this particular model is a 32 gigabyte. Again, there are other options available. And of course, this device, although it's now 2 years old at the time of making this video, and it will no longer be my phone as of today, it's still available. It's still a current model as far as Apple are concerned, but it does only run iOS. This does run iOS 9. So this is on the very latest version, 9.02, at the time of recording. And of course, the big difference between this and the iPhone 4 is instead of a 3.5-inch screen, it has of course got the 4-inch screen, but it's the same 326 ppi Retina display. So we've increased now, it's still the same 640 pixel width, but it's now 1136 instead of 960. The camera on it is an 8 megapixel camera, and this phone is actually now capable of filming in 1080p. And I quite like the back on this. That sort of when you compare it with the iPhone 4, I think that display on the back, the look of it rather on the back, is much nicer. It's also thinner than the iPhone 4. The dimensions, this is 123.8mm by 58.6 by 7.6, so it's nearly 2 millimeters. Doesn't sound like much, nearly 2 millimeters thinner. Because the big thing about the iPhone 5S was the introduction of the Touch ID. And it's the same as you had in 2014's iPhone 6, the same version of Touch ID. It's only been replaced in the very latest iPhone at the time of filming, Touch ID 2, which, nice link, is in this display here. So I've got a couple of little notes on there. This is, I can hardly even fit this on, it shows how much bigger it is. This is the iPhone 6S Plus. So let's just compare the size of the screen between the 5S. Yeah, when you look at the two, you just see just how much bigger that is. It's massive by comparison. Now, of course, this device is the most up-to-date at the time of recording. It's launched in September 2015. It's got an Apple A9 processor. This is also a dual-core 64-bit, but it's clocked at 1.8 gigahertz. This has got double the RAM of the iPhone 5S at 2 gigabytes. And this is actually, again, I've got double the size. So this, you can get this in 128 gigs. I've got the 64 gigs, so this has got much more room in it for applications and recording than my iPhone 5S. But crucially, if you just jump on to talk about the camera, not just 1080p, this can actually record in 4K. It's 30 frames per second, but it is 4K capable. The camera itself is 12 megapixel. It's arguable whether that is a good thing or not. There was some news today about Microsoft's new cameras on their phones, which of course are 20 megapixel, and it seems to be this thing that people think that the more megapixels the better. But anyone who knows anything about photography will tell you that is not the case, but this isn't the video to go into that. This, as I say, has a 12 megapixel camera. The display is a 5.5 inch, but this is now jumped from 326 ppi on the iPhone 5S to 401 ppi with a 1920 by 1080 screen. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, this has got this Touch ID 2 on it. So if I turn that off and then I press my finger on there, that is very quick for the Touch ID interface to kick in. Yeah, look at that. That is noticeably quicker than if I compare the same thing on the there. So that is noticeably slower on the iPhone 5S, and it would be the same on the iPhone 6. So that's quite an improvement. The other thing, of course, this has got is Force Touch, which we'll have a look at in a moment. Let's just talk about the dimensions quickly, just to finish off. This is 158.2mm by 77.9mm by 7.3mm. So massively different, especially when you compare it with the iPhone 4. So let's just have a look. I only got this today, as you've seen from the unboxing, and I'm just going to see. I'm not sure which applications actually do this Force Touch, so I'm kind of, let's try an Apple. If I press that, oh yeah, oh no, I think maybe I pressed the wrong button there. See, I'm learning as I go here. Oh yeah, look at that. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to have to play with that, so I'm not quite sure how it works. Right. Wonderful. So now, let's go. Now, one thing I must point out, I have in the unboxing, I had put this case on, the iPhone 6S Plus, and I have kept that case on. So when we're doing these comparisons, I don't really want to pull the case off again because they're a tight fit, and I think they're sort of not really meant to be pulling these cases on and off all the time. So this comparison is a little bit not as good as it would be because of the fact that I'm looking at these devices when one of them's actually got a case on it. But there we go, there's the 3 phones side by side with the iPhone 6S Plus on the far left, iPhone 5S in the middle, and the iPhone 4 on the right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the camera down and we'll have a look at the actual heights of these, because you can see the widths, and I've got them next to each other like that. So let's lower the camera. The problem, because as I've said, is that the iPhone 6S has got the case on it, but I'm not going to take it off. Let's just pause the camera a moment. So there's the iPhone 4, which I mentioned earlier on, has a height of 9.3mm, which doesn't sound like much. Then we shuffle it round to the iPhone 5S, and that has a height of 7.6mm. And then we go around to the iPhone 6S Plus, which has a height of 7.3mm. So there's the 3 phones then, iPhone 6S Plus, the iPhone 5S, and the iPhone 4. 3 generations of phones that have served me very well. And see how I get on with the iPhone 6S. I will be doing some more videos about that. I'm particularly interested in looking at the 4K video and see how that works. And there's various other things that I'll be looking at as well. So that's it. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep in touch with me, you can find me on Twitter. It's @AndyClayton. You can see some of my crazy pictures on Instagram, AndyJW And of course, don't forget to read my blog, which is at andyclayton.uk. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this content. There's lots more of it to come, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching.